hello there. How are you? My name is Jeff. I'm so glad you could join me today. Before I get started, I want to apologize for last week not having a show. You know, it was one of those weeks where I had a lot going on and a short window of time to record a new episode, and recording was a challenge. I woke up with a dry, scratchy throat, and I had to keep stopping to clear my throat, and that made it all that more difficult. And I did get it all recorded. I got it all recorded, or I thought. And then when I went to edit it, I discovered a whole section I didn't have video, I just had audio. And so it came to me, it's like, what am I going to do? Am I going to try to reset up the equipment and try to re-record that section? And time was running out, and I didn't like the way it was recorded anyway. So finally I said, to hell with it, right? I'm just not going to have a show this week, and I'll just apologize to everybody the following week, which I'm doing now. I'm sorry about that. So I watched a film on Riff Tracks that I highly recommend. You know, there was a weird time in filmmaking around the year 2000 or so. Because of digital technology, suddenly anyone could make a feature film. Now these days you can make a wonderful looking film with your cell phone. But back 20 years ago, digital technology just wasn't quite there yet. You could make a film, but the quality would be, questionable. And CGI, especially for the home filmmaker, wasn't quite there yet either. You could use it, but... So anyway, you end up with something like 2002's Fungicide, a film by David and Mary Waskenaz.
I got a game to win. I'm not letting anybody get in my way.
These aren't the kind of drugs you're thinking about. My doctor prescribed these. It's to help my condition.
This just can't be happening. Nature is not this cruel.
You won't be able to relax.
On all of us.
Dave would go on to make the wonderful Suburban Sasquatch a couple years later, and both films, if you want to see them, are available for free on Tubi. They're worth a watch. I enjoyed them. Anyway, so today I'm going to talk about a film that was first shown on Mystery Science Theater 3000 on December 29th, 1990. It's a 1960-1962 science fiction film called The First Spaceship on Venus. It was directed by Kurt Maetzig and starred, well, all these wonderful people. This was the Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode in which Joel and the Bots, as well as Dr. Forrester and TV's Frank, featured junk drawers with some magical special effects. And the Bots invent their own bot, the XT5000 Ramjet Super Configured Limited Edition Lightning Interface Model L that speaks in foam. And they also do a commercial for something called Clack. You are there on man's most exciting, most incredible journey. You are there as they pass the moons and Lunar Station 3. You are there as they discover the Venetians' vitrified forest. You are there as they are attacked by crawling living lava. You are there as they brave the raging irradiated Venus quake. This is a first. Fantastic, unforgettable. Sounds exciting, doesn't it? Do you think this is a case of false advertising? We'll find out a little bit later when we watch the film. Anyway, now while I'm talking about a film that was first shown on Mystery Science Theater 3000, I'm more talking about the film itself and not so much about Joel and the Bots, so hey, that's just the way it is. Now this is one of those films that might be hard to judge. I mean, we are watching an overdubbed, re-edited version of a foreign film. Who knows if we're getting the full impact that the makers of the film intended. This was a 1960 East German-Polish film called The Silent Star, based on a 1951 science fiction novel by Polish writer Stanislaw Lem. Lem, by the way, wrote Solaris. That book has been made into a movie 3 times, the first 2 in Russia in 1968 and 1972, and the last one in America in 2002. Now, I've read that the Americanized version of The Silent Star had a lot of the communist ideology and anti-American sentiments removed. In the book The Arts and Science of Stanislaw Lem, it says, "First Spaceship on Venus, a poor adaptation of Lem's novel, The Astronauts, suffers from all the weaknesses of the original but lacks any of its virtues." Now, I've never seen the original film The Silent Star before. As far as I know, it's not available anywhere, so I can only judge this film. So if there are any fans out there of the original, don't send me, messages saying, well, if you saw the original and it makes more sense here. I can only judge the Crown International Pictures version that I have available. So, hey, what can I say? Now, oddly, Bill Warren points out in his book, Keep Watching the Skies, in the film, Venus is a devastated planet, its inhabitants wiped out. In terms of the plot, the film it most resembles is rocket ship XM, which found Mars similarly destroyed by nuclear war. Both films deal with the first expedition to another planet, both have elements of romance, both have meteor encounters, both discover a destroyed civilization, and in both, some expedition members die on the alien planet. Both movies were trading on the public interest in space exploration and on public fears of nuclear holocaust. Now, I saw, myself, some similarities to this in 2001: A Space Odyssey. Both films start out with the discovery of an artifact that seems to be connected with a planet in our solar system, and both films have crews that are sent out to investigate. Of course, this film has a female crew member, something that Kubrick didn't even think about. Now, this film, from what I understand, was a complicated film to make. You had a Polish author and a German director, and it was filmed in both East Germany and Poland a year before the Berlin Wall began construction. You had actors from various countries, and a couple of film studios were involved. And since it was financed by a communist government, it took 12 versions of the script and a lot of writers before a version was approved for production. Now, it's tempting to go into all the politics of the time, but it would probably take me months of research to try to understand it, and it's probably way too complicated for this brain anyway, so I'll just move on. I will say that the director fought against the Nazis in World War II, and as far as I can tell, was a supporter of the current, at the time, communist government, the German Democratic Republic. The film was directed by Kurt Maetzig. Kurt lived from 1911 to 2012. He was a pioneering figure in East Germany's socialist film industry after World War I, and he became one of the country's most respected directors. He had a 3-decade-long career that featured 30 films and documentaries. In most of them, he carefully observed the ideological boundaries set by the ruling Communist Party. 2 of his most famous films were Marriage in the Shadows from 1947 and The Rabbit Is Me from 1965. Now, I'm not going to talk about the actors too much, but I'll talk about a couple of them. Günther Simon plays Robert Brinkman, the spaceship's German pilot. Günther was an East German actor who lived from 1925 to 1972. He appeared in about 30 films in his career. He rose to fame after starring in another Kurt Maetzig project, a 2-part propaganda epic about communist leader Ernst Thälmann's life. Yoko Tani plays Dr. Samiko Okamura, the Japanese medical officer. Yoko lived from 1928 to 1999. She was a Japanese-French actress who had a career in both Japanese and European cinema during the 1950s and 60s. She acted in films all over the world, including France, West Germany, Japan, Italy, the UK, Canada, Brazil, and even did some TV work in the USA. And I'm going to stop right there. I mean, I'm sure all these actors are wonderful people, but I really don't know anything about them. So let's move on and talk about what is First Spaceship on Venus? Well, it seems that in the future year of 1985, while working to irrigate the Gobi Desert, a strange artifact was unearthed. It was so unusual that the scientific community took notice. Tests indicated that the thing contained a spool, and by spool, I think they mean magnetic tape or something like that. And here's the thing, they were convinced it was of alien origin. Somehow they connect this find to the Tunguska explosion of 1908. Now, if you don't know what happened in Russia in the early part of the 20th century, you should look it up. It's a pretty interesting story. But anyway, back to our film. Later, during a celebration of the first space station on the moon, an American scientist, a Professor Herringway, says he believes that the blast wasn't caused by a meteor as previously thought.
Our calculations indicate, confirmed also by the results recently transmitted to us by our colleagues on Luna 3, that the mysterious Tunga meteor was really a spaceship from another planet, which exploded in the air before landing.
So they used the most powerful computer to decipher the message, but had no luck. What they hear from the spool is just unusual noise. The bottom line is, they determined, and I'm not sure how, that the spaceship came from Venus, the silent star. After attempting communication with Venus fails, a ship, the Cosmostrator, which was originally going to Mars, instead will take a crew to Venus. We meet the crew, 7 men, 1 woman, and a robot named Omega.
Omega, what's the weather report for the next 10 hours?
You can build a robot, but you can't build it with a decent sound system, really? Anyway, now I have to say that I am impressed with the international crew. The female member, Dr. Samiko Okamura, is a Japanese medical officer, and it seems she once had a relationship with Dr. Beekman, the Comanstrator's German pilot.
Your heartbeat is normal.
Sumiko, my heart is...
No, Brinkman, no. No, please, we mustn't speak of that, ever.
And I love how all the grounds crew has huge letters on their chest to identify their department. The spaceship looks cool as well, don't you think? Of course, we need to laugh at the lack of gravity. But to make things simple, they have artificial gravity. While this is highly unlikely, I don't have a problem with it. It just makes things a lot easier for everybody, right? Now, it's amazing how spacious the interior of this spaceship is. It looks so much smaller from the outside. Maybe it's a TARDIS or something, I don't know. Professor Sakana, an Indian mathematician, with the help of Chen Yu, a Chinese linguist, spends their time trying to decipher the magnetic spool. Personally, I think they should have done that before sending a rocket 24 million miles away, but hey, maybe that's just me. And then there's Professor Orloff, who can't beat Omega in chess.
It's amazing. He plays his endgame wonderfully. I thought that I had got him, but you see, he's put his king on E6. And I'm forced into the corner at H8.
After surviving a meteor storm in which the African communication officer, Tallulah, gets his head injured, they are on their way. Oh wait, there's been damage to the spaceship by the meteor. But the problem is soon fixed through a little spacewalk, so then they're on their way. Professor Soltic decides to give the robot a heart because Omega keeps beating Professor Orloff in chess, and maybe if Omega has a heart, he might let Orloff win.
10 consecutive defeats are driving our friend crazy. I want him to enjoy his favorite game.
I would like you to do something also for me. It would be nice to see you eat occasionally.
Remember when Deep Blue was given a heart and it gave Kasparov a chance in 1996?
Your health is my responsibility, and you haven't eaten for days.
I haven't a second to spare.
Come on, Professor, it would take you like 10 seconds to drink that. How much could that delay things? And look at that. The computer let the human win. I don't know, it's sort of a hollow victory.
He plays a good game. He's not very easy to beat. But I did it at last. Man has defeated the machine.
And they finally hear a message from the spool.
We will initially subject the planet to a very intense bombardment of radiation. The conquest and occupation of the Earth will then present no difficulty. When the ionization intensity has fallen by 1/2, the final extermination phase can start.
This can only mean an attack against our planet.
It turns out that the inhabitants of Venus were on a mission to destroy life on Earth. After a small debate, they decide they should let Earth know. But it doesn't matter, they can't get through anyway.
Tallowa, try to contact the Earth.
I can't get through. Too much disturbance from Venus. Our signals are distorted. The Earth won't hear us.
Finally, after arriving at Venus, they send Brinkman down to find a good place to land, and he becomes the first human on the Silent Star. He finds the planet bleak and sort of hellish.
I'm right behind you.
But what is this? An attack? Do the Venusians have a problem with Earthlings or something? And now, with more than half the film over, the first spaceship on Venus lands. Meanwhile, Brinkman is having a bad time. What are those things? Mechanical spiders? But it turns out Brinkman wasn't attacked. He landed on power lines. Damn the luck. But everything is cool. He and Omega are just fine.
Brinkman! We thought you were dead.
I was lucky.
You might have chosen a better place to land.
Why? What do you mean?
There's a high-tension line over there.
Now, your machine blew up just because you landed right on top of that surface power line.
So a few men follow the power lines.
Something very strange here. A white sphere that looks like an immense golf ball.
Is this the calm before the storm? Why don't the Venusians answer?
Maybe the same reason I don't answer the front door when somebody stops by to sell me new windows for my house. Chen Yu figures out what those little spider things are.
We have investigated your strange inhabitants. They're completely harmless. They're not a form of life.
When I think how scared I was in that hole.
Your discovery is more significant than you think. I put one of the microcrystals in the Marax. Listen.
Those were the voices of the Venusians.
They know something bad happened to the folks of the Silent Star, and again they follow the power lines to see where they go. Things don't look good, but they investigate and see some real neat things. It goes on and on, but the bottom line is, the inhabitants of Venus destroyed themselves by nuclear war. This might be a message to us, the 1960s audience. Suddenly they find themselves under attack. They're being chased by, well, an ooze. Possibly lava? That was close, but I guess it's not lava, or her foot would be burned off. Maybe it's chocolate pudding.
Don't shoot, Dad! Don't shoot!
Hey, nice running the film backwards effect. I like it. Shooting it makes it retreat, so much so that their uniforms are now clean. Sure, that makes all the sense in the world.
In accident, they didn't expect to upset their plan. Their atomic weapons got out of their control. A chain reaction was unleashed. and they all perished.
Only their shadows remained.
Uh-oh, the film's message. Now, I was under the impression that they needed to get out of there quick, but I guess not? They've still got scientific work to do? So somehow shooting the black goo started a nuclear chain reaction, and to make a long story short, a bunch of crazy stuff happens that doesn't make all that much sense to me. Omega goes crazy and runs over one of the men, and to be honest, I don't know his name, but now he needs an operation.
Omega's out of control. The motors won't work. The gravity field is increasing more and more. The radiation's paralyzed everything. Nothing is working. The whole cosmostrator is nothing but an inert lump of metal.
They have no chance to escape unless they can reverse the process, turn energy into mass.
We must try to do what the Venusians did. Make the energy of the glass force in the sphere change back into mass once more.
Yes, but how?
This is one of those points in a film where I assume the people in the film know what they are doing, and it's none of my business. One man dies because his suit gets a hole in it.
Chenyu, listen to me. Those seeds that you found, they're growing. They're growing, Chenyu. You've proved that there's life on the planet. Yes, Chenyu, there's still life on Venus.
Well, at least he died happy, right? And another man, Brinkman, gets hurled out into space.
Cosmostrator, where are you? Are you receiving me? I can't get back!
Another one is left behind.
Cosmostrator! Cosmostrator!
So 8 men left Earth and 5 returned.
We must use our knowledge to establish life again on Venus. And then after that, go on to explore the other planets. We'll fly further and further. It's mankind's destiny.
Sure, why not? Now, the problem I have with this film is its pacing. It was slow, so very slow. Maybe it's me looking at it through 21st century eyes, but it's like looking at a slow-moving train that never speeds up until like the last 10 minutes. Then the train just takes off like lightning because we, as the audience, gets way too much thrown at us. And frankly, I didn't understand it, and I didn't want to understand it. What they were doing and why they were doing it was far beyond my understanding. Now, what I would have liked is for them to get to Venus a lot earlier in the film and develop the story about the Venusians and why the Earthlings had to escape so quickly. It seems you could have cut down the first 45 minutes to like 15 minutes and had a lot more time for that. And there's also this.
Robert Brinkman, the man who's always forgetting something.
I have a reputation for that. You're right. But there are things I'll never forget.
No, Brinkman. On a voyage of this kind, there'll be no room for excess baggage.
They introduce a relationship between Dr. Samiko and Brinkman early on, and it never comes back. Why introduce that if it's not going to have some importance later on in the story? Maybe she could have fallen in love with another man, and there's some sort of love triangle thing there, and one sacrifices himself. I don't know, but it just seems it doesn't belong. Now, to say something good about this film, I thought it looked really good. I love a lot of the visuals, the special effects. I liked the spaceship a lot. I thought the spaceship looked neat. And the music. The music was done by an Andrzej Markowski. And it was very effective. Markowski was a Polish composer and conductor who lived from 1924 to 1986. Now, the Mystery Science Theater 3000 version didn't cut anything out, so you got the whole movie, at least of the American release, there to watch. So we're good there. And anyway, why don't we jump into the best 2 minutes of this episode?
Ooh, a good movie this time? I don't think so.
There is only one other planet that it could have come from.
Uranus.
I am referring to the Earth's sister planet.
3,
Hey, it's hell.
2.
Line. Line, please. Line.
If he only had a heart,
A
he
brain.
would let Orloff
Done
win.
knife. Hey, I gotta go to the bathroom.
Just go in the suit.
Oh. I feel like my new Moog synthesizer.
The guy's lunch meat. Hi, Bill. He's got no idea what I'm saying to him. You look good. He's dead. Good luck. We'll never see his family again. Way to go, sport. He'll be vaporized within the hour. We're with you. Look at it go. Tonight, big sale at Bill Farber Oldstown. We've got hot dogs for the kids and suckers. Speaking of suckers, look at this sucker over here, 1928 Porter. Hey, come on down. Can't you get the station in clearer? Don't you have a converter box or some tinfoil to put on the antenna? The magic toothbrush will save them. Go, Tuffy, go!
I am not surprised.
Shut up! Jeez, I hope this baby starts. I think I left the dome light on.
Oh, that's disgusting. Ugh.
Chen Yu.
Bless you.
Gesundheit.
Hello, Chen Yu.
Bless you.
Can you?
Bless you.
Can you?
Bless you.
Rocketing off the charts with that immortal hit, it's Bob's Death. Next, coming up, Rocket Man.
Attention, Mr. and Mrs. North America and all the ships at sea. Gutless astronauts left friends on planet, returning today.
This is a triumph of the end of the movie. They're coming back and we're here to greet them.
Godzilla! Oh, wrong movie, sorry.
Hey!
So next week, I'm going to start a run of 2 Godzilla films that were shown back to back on Mystery Science Theater 3000, and this might be a problem. You see, Toho Studios is very litigious when it comes to their fire-breathing monster. And as every MST3K fan knows out there, every now and again somebody will post one of these episodes on YouTube, and it's quickly taken down for copyright reasons, so I'm not quite sure how I'm going to handle the whole thing, but I'll figure something out in a week from now. I just don't want my episode pulled as soon as I put it up. Anyway, I want to thank everybody 2 weeks ago for all their comments. Remember, I asked people to say something good about the film we had watched, and a couple people did, and thank you so much. To all the new subscribers, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. The likes and all that. It's really wonderful. Because I enjoy doing this, and I'm glad at least a few of you enjoy watching it. Take care. I'll be back in next week, hopefully, and we'll see you then. Bye.